Hi, welcome to the Times of Israel's Daily Briefing. It's Friday, February 7th, and I'm Jessica Steinberg. I'm speaking today with diplomatic correspondent Lazer Berman, currently in Washington, D.C., covering Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the region. Hi, Lazer.
Hi, Jessica.
Hello there. It is day 490 of the war. Israel's military vowed to prevent any attempt by Hezbollah to rearm in Lebanon, as the IDF targeted arms depots that violated the ceasefire, which is in place for another 11 days. As Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his way around the capital on Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an order sanctioning the International Criminal Court over its Israel arrest warrants that were made several months ago and an ongoing probe of U.S. soldiers. The Trump administration also said that it is planning to escalate and intensify the fighting against Yemen's Houthis in the near future, and recently appointed Secretary of State Mario Rubio is slated to visit Israel in the next couple of weeks. Lazer is going to review some of these details and comments and other aspects of the Prime Minister's visit to Washington, as well as what is the current state of the hostage deal, and this ongoing conversation about the Trump proposal to move Gazans out of Gaza, at least for the time being. We'll talk about all of it after a quick break. So, Lazer, you were at the Capitol all day today, all day Thursday, really. And so far, the Prime Minister's visit to Washington revolved seemingly primarily around President Trump's surprise plans for post-war Gaza. I know that there was also discussion on Thursday as to whether Israel would be sending a delegation for the ongoing ceasefire and hostage deal talks. But Netanyahu spent Thursday meeting with bipartisan Senate leadership. What have you been hearing about all of these meetings?
Yeah, so Trump's proposal, his statements on American control of the Gaza Strip and permanently removing Gazans from the Gaza Strip has overshadowed every aspect of this trip. Now, this visit deals with some very weighty issues besides that proposal of Trump's. First of all, we are in the middle of the first stage of the hostage release deal. There's no guarantee we're going to move to the second stage. On Monday was the day when the negotiations officially start on how to get to the second stage, if at all. So that is, a complex, serious, weighty issue, but that is not what most of the coverage has been, and not what most of the conversation has been because of this Trump proposal. Now, of course, there's the Iran threat and how to jointly come up with a policy and to confront Iran, to deal with its proxies, to confront its nuclear program. That is a very serious issue as well. But as you've seen, our coverage, other outlets' coverage has been on this outlandish Trump proposal. Is he serious? Could he be serious? How does he want to get it done? And, the fact that he keeps doubling down on it and releasing more and more details, it looks like he actually thinks that this is a policy that is worth pursuing. And now what you have is the American system, State Department, Department of Defense, kind of running after him and figuring it out how to actually turn this into something that could be viable. I think it took, to a certain extent, it took the Israeli delegation by surprise. They knew that this is something Trump had already talked about, but they didn't know he was going to talk about American control of the Gaza Strip and permanently removing the residents. And you can see that Netanyahu was at first surprised, and it took him a while. He gave kind of these non-committal answers, but he is supporting, at least rhetorically, this idea more and more and saying it's a good idea. And you can hear other ministers in the government also saying that this is, at least it's new thinking. It's something that should be taken seriously. And I don't think you're going to hear any Israeli minister publicly come out against Trump. So that certainly has dominated everything about this trip. We're not getting much from these meetings on the Hill. It's just basically snippets here and there that everyone agrees that there's a lot of support for Israel right now, also from the Democrats. Of course, the Democrats are a party that's kind of adrift right now, that they took a thumping in the elections. Trump is back. They lost the Senate. They lost the House. So it's not really clear where the party wants to go. And you have people like Chuck Schumer, who, let's not forget, called on the floor of the Senate for Netanyahu to call elections and to step down. Now he's meeting with Trump again, with Netanyahu again, and everything seems to be, at least on from the outside, seems to be fine in that regard. And you don't have Democrats who are, stepping up to criticize Israel anymore as they did under the Biden administration. So only positive things are coming out the meetings, but not that much is coming out at all. We were on Capitol Hill today, and we're supposed to hear a joint statement from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Netanyahu, and we're there for hours, and that just didn't happen today. It's supposed to happen tomorrow. So, really, there has not been a lot of information coming out, but it seems like, the meetings are in a very positive spirit, and that's really the feeling in this trip.
What's the reaction among Netanyahu's entourage about this entire turn of events?
I think Netanyahu's entourage, Netanyahu himself, they're almost giddy with excitement. First of all, they're happy about how well this trip is going, how different the relationship is with the Trump administration as compared with the Biden administration. You just have no criticism of Israel coming out now, whereas Biden administration, they couldn't help but to criticize Israel in some way at every turn. So, they're certainly happy about that. They talk about how shocking it is to compare the treatment received by the Trump administration in the White House as compared to the Biden administration. But of course, this Gaza proposal, everything seems a possibility now. It seems like, just the idea of Israel's war aims, which is getting the Hamas leadership to leave and getting them to disarm, that almost seems, small potatoes now compared to what Trump is talking about. So I think the feeling is very positive, and there are even some people who are starting to think that this could even be possible, this Trump idea. So it's, you really have only positive things that the Netanyahu entourage is saying. But I must say, there has not been a ton of access to the prime minister himself. On all of these trips, he gives a briefing to Israeli journalists, and that has not happened so far. And we're at the end of the week, and we have not heard that one is scheduled. So there's certainly a lot that could be off, that is to be desired in terms of accessibility to Netanyahu on this trip.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. The Prime Minister brought up the Hezbollah pager attack on Channel 14, Israel's Channel 14. Why now? What's the purpose of that?
Well, I think he was asked about the pager, so he brought it up. The big picture there is he's trying to, attack Gallant after he's out of government, and to influence the way that this war is remembered, and that he was the one making the right decisions all the time. As far as I'm concerned, Netanyahu made the right decision there. 4 days after October 7th, to open up a two-front war when we weren't even sure what we were going to do in the Gaza Strip, to start this even more complex war against Hezbollah. I think that would have been the wrong decision. And I think that on Lebanon, at least, Netanyahu's decisions have been quite good. So, I'm not sure there was any reason right now, except that he was asked about it, and it was an easy opportunity to continue to attack a political rival and to influence the historical record.
And then there was this report about a plan to end the war in Gaza. This was in Israeli media, but then the Prime Minister's office spokesperson denied that.
It's hard to know because that sourcing was originally from a different outlet, and I don't know who their source was. But I think the Israeli press has a tendency to, get excited and get ahead of itself and to report some things before fully checking them. So it could have been that. But yeah, and anyone I've asked about says there has been no plan given to end the war in Gaza. It doesn't mean that the second stage was not talked about. I'm sure it was. But the question is how concrete those discussions were, how concrete those plans were. But what it seems now is that Israel wants to do as much as do what it can to extend the first stage of the deal as much as possible. That serves Israel's interest. It doesn't have to declare any end to the war. It continues to get some more hostages out. And it looks like that Hamas is in a pretty difficult situation right now, in that it doesn't know what to do with this Trump plan. It knows that Israel has the firm backing of America, the superpower, and it does not want to be seen as the one making the deal fail, because then it feels that Israel will have the full backing of the United States to go back to war. So I think Hamas is trying to figure out what to do, and if it needs to buy more time, it could well extend the deal the first stage of the deal for a couple of weeks, but it can't do it indefinitely because it works against its interest, because its major interest, what it wants to see happen is for the war to end, for it to know that it has outlasted Israel, and that's victory for Hamas. So even if the first stage does continue, it won't continue for long.
Thanks so much, Laser, for all of your commentary and explanations. It helps us keep abreast of the news. And thanks to you for listening to the Times of Israel's Daily Briefing. Stay tuned for tomorrow's installment. This episode is produced by the Podwaves. You get any comments you might have, feel free to email us, podcast@timesofisrael.com. And for the meantime, take care of yourselves and have a Shabbat Shalom.